I guess let's go down the road here too. With the Eagles, this is sustainable, right? I mean, like, they're young. Jalen Hurts is going to be 27 on day one, snap one, on the first Thursday night of the season at the banner raise in Philadelphia. Saquon is emerging from this season healthy into the offseason. All those guys up front who are dominating, none of them other than BG are old heads, right? I mean, so those kids on the back end, I mean, holy crap, Mark, what do you think? Is this a potential repeat customer? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, right now they've got the best odds to repeat, to be back to the Super Bowl. So they've got the best odds. But, yeah, I think all those things you said are true. They're physically, they're a dominant football team. They've got a few guys they have to address. But the bottom line is they're young, they're physical. And you know what? And I trust the way they've been built. I tell you, man, I was watching the NFC Championship game. And in the NFC Championship game, Cam Jurgens has a back injury, right?
That's right. Yes. Oh, yes.
And so Cam Jurgens is like, oh, I can't go, man. I gotta sit. So they slide
Dickinson.
They slide Landon Dickerson inside.
Yeah, Dickerson.
And then they bring somebody off the bench I'd never even heard of, Rich. And I'm like, I'm watching the film. I'm like, damn, this guy's dispensing justice. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
And like, that's how they're built. And so, I trust that they've got defensive linemen chomping at the bit, other linebackers chomping at the bit. Come on, man. They lost some guys along the way at the linebacker position. Everybody just stepped in and played their butts off. Nakobe Dean goes down, right? They had a couple other injuries along the way. And I tell you what, they've been exceptionally well coached. Here's the other thing.
Yes.
It was interesting in Miami, how two teams are built differently. In Philadelphia, it's all about the defensive and offensive lines, right? It's all about controlling line of scrimmage. In Philadelphia, where do you spend all your assets? Hey, Robert Hunt, one of the best guards in football. Hey, we don't want to pay him. He goes to Carolina, but we'll pay all these wide receivers, right? Because it's all about the weaponry. And where are these two teams? And, oh, by the way, speaking of Miami, didn't Vic Fangio get dumped by Miami because, he's too old and he doesn't relate to today's younger player? Maybe he just doesn't relate to guys who don't want to be great football players. Maybe he doesn't relate to guys that, want to go down to South Beach, because it looked like he related to those defensive players and those young defensive players the Philadelphia Eagles had, as DeJean was taking one to the house and Mitchell was playing his ass off. So I don't know. Maybe it's the area of the country that you play in.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Sirianni's got his Spags, right? I mean, and in the same way that Reed has his Spags, Sirianni's got his Fangio now. And I know that Kellen Moore's going to probably, I don't know, maybe if you listen hard enough, that's Jeff Lurie telling Kellen Moore to kind of McDaniels his way out of New Orleans, and maybe Ben Johnson his way back to stay the OC. I don't know, because run it back is what Sirianni said. I know Kellen Moore's got probably bigger jobs on his mind potentially. I don't know, but right? I mean, because this is there for the taking. It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you've got a chance to run it back. And I understand there's only 32 head coaching jobs in the National Football League, and they're all big jobs, and they're all good jobs because there's only 32 of them.
Right.
But 100%. Here's the other thing that's impressive. I don't think we give Sirianni enough credit for what he has been able to do there. I mean, think about this: the humility it takes to sit there in your first year and go, you know what? We're 2-5, and I'm not doing a very good job of calling plays. Even though I'm game planning and doing all that stuff, I'm going to turn that play calling over to Steichen and let him call plays and become the CEO of this football team and manage the entirety of the football team. And, to lose coordinators, Jonathan Gannon goes to Arizona. Let me go get Fangio. Hey, man, it's one coordinator to another coordinator, to now Kellen Moore. Oh, by the way, Kellen Moore has been known as a passing coordinator type of guy in his time in this league. Hey, you know what? That's not how we're built. We're going to run the snot out of the ball. So I want you to morph into this type of play caller, right? I want you to morph into, a guy that we're only averaging 2.3 yards per carry, but you still give it to the back 25 times. It takes a certain guy with a certain intestinal fortitude and an ability to manage people and to develop relationships and do all those things. And I think Nick Sirianni has done a hell of a job coaching. And so, I just want to give that guy the credit that he probably deserves and doesn't get very often.
Yeah, let me add on to that here, Mark, because we forget that when Sirianni took the gig, it was after that weird final game of Doug Peterson's stay where Hurts, after getting the job reluctantly over Carson Wentz, gets yanked in the last game of the season, benched for Nate Sudfeld because they wanted to see what they had in Sudfeld or whatever that was. I don't know what the hell was going on behind the scenes, but Sirianni came in and full-throated supported Jalen Hurts. Remember, he wore like a Jalen Hurts T-shirt and full-throated said, "This is the guy." And now look at them. They've been to 2 Super Bowls together, and Hurts is the Super Bowl MVP. And that doesn't happen without whatever Sirianni was saying behind the scenes or kind of. And I know their relationship has a lot of question marks about it since then. But we are here where we are because of whatever the hell was going on back then. I don't know. I'd love to know. You know?
Rich, every guy, they talked about the unity of that team and how connected they are. And Sirianni talked about, it's like all 53 guys together and all the things that he said. And I've been in that facility a bunch. I've done a bunch of Philly games over the last several years.
Yeah.
And every time I go in there, man, Sirianni's got, a Jalen Hurts T-shirt on or an O-line T-shirt on that he makes for the team, right? Based upon the way they play it or whatever. And it's like this big thing. And then other guys are making T-shirts, like they're all wearing each other's. They're all like their biggest fan club. And I just think there's so much about the atmosphere and so much about the leadership of men and so much about the relational aspect of this game that you have to have. And I always say this, the key to championships is sacrifice and understanding that I can't have success individual unless we have success together as a group. And great things happen when you don't care who gets the credit. And the only way you can win a championship, in my mind, is when you can be sacrificial, when you can put others ahead of yourself. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles, this run, they've displayed that exceptionally well. And to me, it's really a cool thing to see.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.